Hey guys, welcome back to Surveying with Robert. So, I've got something pretty awesome for you guys. I got my hands on an X7 scanner and had to do some training with some guys up in Northwest Arkansas. So I thought while I had this thing in my hands, I would show you guys some of the features of the X7 with the Perspective software. So, first things first. Okay, so a couple of things I want to show you guys. One, it uses a tablet. It uses some software called Perspective. Perspective can be downloaded through the Trimble installation manager, and there has actually been an update come out since the conception, or the release, I guess I should say, of Perspective. So, a couple things I want to point out. One, this thing uses the exact same batteries as like your SX10 or your other S-series robots, which is kind of cool. When I hit the power button here on the side, it's going to do an initialization thing, then it's going to self-calibrate, and once the lights go green, then we're ready to scan. So another thing, it's got a spot for an SD card. If I want to download the data to an SD card, I can. As far as specs goes, I really haven't looked at the specs, to be honest with you. It probably would have been simple for me to download them and look at it, but I don't. Maybe I'll put some notes on the video to kind of, maybe I'll send you a link, right, to it. Also, I'm thinking about putting this data on my Google Drive and letting you guys have access to it. And remember, I've got those copies of Business Center if you guys want to play with this data. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of quickly show you how this thing works. We're going to scan around the front of this thing, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how this scanner works. So what I've done, other than just step on the tripod, that was brilliant. I've got targets set up over here, and I'm going to geo-reference these scans with Business Center. So I'll give you guys that file as well. So first thing we want to do is go into Trimble Perspective, and we will fire it up, and let's see how well it works. There we go. Okay, so it's asking me for projects. Looks like there's been a lot of playing going along, a lot of demos. Create new project, we'll call it Robert's house. Okay, so we're gonna call the project name Robert's house, and we're going to scan. Now, if you'll notice up here in the upper left hand corner where it says Robert's house, you'll notice that all green up there, battery's green, Wi-Fi's green, the instrument's green, everything's ready to go. Down here at the bottom it says start scan. So what I can do is, if I go and I look, I've got different settings that I can set for this scan. I can do a 2-minute scan, all the way up to a 15-minute scan. Example of that was when I was doing the training with the guys up in Northwest Arkansas, we had to get up to a second story. So I really needed a lot of information on that threshold, that doorway going into the second story. It was a metal stairway going up, and then we had a doorway, and we wanted to get from the ground, get the face of the building, and then they wanted to go into that second story. So I showed them how to do it. Well, the farther away an object is, the longer the scan needs to be. Does that make sense? So you want to put more data out there further, make the scan longer. That's the best way to do it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna scan this. I've got the garage door closed, so I'm gonna do 2 scans. I'm gonna do one with it closed, and then I'm gonna open the garage door and do another one, because I'm gonna go around the building. We're gonna go through the threshold into the house. Now, I'm not gonna video the whole thing, otherwise this would be an all day long video, and I don't think you guys wanna watch a 4-hour long video of me scanning. So let's do a few scans. Let me show you guys how this works. I'm gonna do a 4-minute scan. Now there's a standard and a high sensitivity on here. My understanding of the high sensitivity would be like if you're trying to scan darker objects, like maybe something black. Like in my case, that stairway that was going up, I did a 15-minute scan at high sensitivity so that I could pick up that black stairway. It was a metal stairway going up. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure our images are on. Our white balance is set to auto. We're going to do a 4-minute scan. I'm going to hit start and then I'm going to get out of the way. Okay, here we go. So we can see it's initializing. So what it's doing is it's getting itself leveled up. It's blue, you'll see the lights are blue, so that means that the scanner is in some kind of mode, right? Whether that be scanning, taking pictures, whatever, it's gonna be blue. Basically what that means, when it's blue, don't pick it up. I've made that mistake before. So it's initializing, it's self-calibrating itself. Now it says it's scanning. So now we wait. It says scan one's gonna take 5 minutes and 33 seconds. So we're gonna scan. Now keep in mind in the scan, we're gonna have cameras in here. So in the scan data, because I've got my camera set up. So right now it's scanning and you'll see it just slowly turn as it's coming around. Now this is a 4-minute scan that we've got going on here. And I will say this, I'm wanting a lot of detail where these targets are at. So I'm probably gonna have an extra setup in here somewhere that maybe I normally wouldn't have. Just so that I've got good information on these targets to geo-reference. And as much as I would love to be able to scan this whole house and show you guys the whole thing, I've actually got to get this mailed back to my buddy at Trimble, who was nice enough to let me borrow this thing for a couple of days. So, unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to be able to do a couple scans for you guys and just kind of show you how it works. I think it's pretty cool. We'll try to get inside the house through the threshold. I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll talk about, you know, of course there's always a possibility of problems, right? The scanner, for some reason or another, you know, doesn't register or something like that. Because you have to understand that this thing registers based on planes, and you have to understand what a plane is. So a plane would be like this wall over here where the targets are at, and like that garage door would be another plane, right? So, that's how the scanner is going to register information. So you have to be careful about when you set a scan up, you have to have enough overlap that it can see some of those planes from the previous scans. Okay, so now it's downloading the scan. So it's transferring the information through Wi-Fi. So what it does is it scans and then it will take photographs. So as you notice, it says capturing images. So the scan's downloaded. We're fixing to see it pop up on the screen. And there we are. So I can use these tools like this orbit tool over here. I can orbit around and we can look at what data we've gotten. So we can see, you can see the cameras in there. There's that tire sitting over there leaned up against the wall that I need to get rid of. You can see the target as I spin it around. We can see the target on the wall there as well. Okay, so I just need to move down. I'm gonna probably move down about 30 feet where these cameras are at. We're gonna set it up again and we're gonna scan. We'll talk a little bit more about it. So, like I say, all the data come in, everything looks good. Now we just need to set up another scan and register, and I'll explain to you how this thing works further. Okay, so one of the bad things about doing this on a Saturday is I got a neighbor mowing the yard and weeding. I got a neighbor across the street doing some stuff. Everybody's working this weekend on their projects, right? So, and here I am trying to scan. So, without further ado, let's hit the scan button and go. You'll notice it's green, it's ready to go. Start scan. Okay, it's gonna do its initialization. You'll notice it's blue, and it's gonna initialize, it's gonna get ready to scan. So, some of the things I want to tell you guys about is that the registration this thing does. Now, if you'll notice over here on the lower right-hand corner, it says last. So I can register to any scan. So let's say that I screw up and I go too far and I need to register. Then what I can do is I can back up and tell it to register to a particular scan, right? So what that lets me do is it lets me tie different scans together in order to make these scans work. So it's scanning, let me get out of the way. I'll just walk over here by one of the cameras. I might want to point out that whenever you export at the end of your scan, that's when it's going to colorize the point cloud. Right now it's just giving you basically a grayscale. I can always tap on the screen and I can look at it in intensity right now. But once the scan is finished, I'll be able to look at it in a colorized. Okay, so I'll step right over here in the way as it's capturing images and it's downloading the scan. So we're going to download the scan, then we're going to see that, that other scan come in with this one, and you're going to see how it automatically registers, which I think is absolutely cool that I can make sure it's registered on this tablet before I leave the site. And I could export it if I wanted to as an RCP, E57, LAS, whatever I wanted. Okay, so it's still capturing images. It's loading the points into the tablet. Now then, you'll see it's saying auto register to point number 1. Okay, so you can see we've got 2 setups now as I spin this around. I'm just pinching and zooming on it. You can see we have the side of the house, right? So you can see I've got 2 targets there. Let's see here. You can see my targets on the wall here as well. So I've got 4 targets set up, and we will use those to georeference. Now you notice this says start scan and it's green again, right? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick it up, take it around the corner. I'm gonna go around the corner of this building and up into the threshold of the building, okay? Okay, so, boy, the sun's bright out here today. Guess I shouldn't complain. Beautiful day. So, as I mentioned, this is the house that I'm remodeling. So I thought this was something we could scan, right? So what I did was I did a scan over here at the corner of the building, and I let it register to that corner. Now then, we're going to kick the scan on again. There again, I'm still on a 4-minute scan. As you can see, images are on. I'm gonna say start scan. It's gonna initialize and it's gonna get started. Now what I've done is I'm setting up right here so I can paint the front of this building, basically, right? Front of this house. And I've closed the door because I want the door in my scan. So let me step out of the way and explain to you guys some stuff on this tablet, okay? So while this thing is initializing and getting ready to scan, I thought I might kind of go through some stuff with you guys and show you how this works. So you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, we've got a lot of different options. If you look down at the bottom, it's a layers or settings option. So if I click on that, you can see I've got a bunch of tools popping up. One of those tools is so I can change color-coded intensity, which is probably one of my more favorite places to work, right? If you deal with scanning data, you realize that color-coded intensity just works better. So with that being said, there's some different things I can do. I can turn on some different, like my station views, right? So I want to know what scans that I'm working on. So 1, 2, and 3, as you can see right there. Number 4 is going to be right here in front of the door. It's scanning right now, and we'll wait for it to scan and see what we get. So what we're going to do is, when we finish this scan, is I'm going to move to the threshold of the door, and we're going to go inside of the room and do a couple scans, and then I'm going to georeference all this stuff and post it for you guys so you can play with it. And like I say, I've got copies of demo copies of Trimble Business Center for anybody that wants to hit me up. It's surveyingwithrobert@gmail.com, and I can get you guys a demo copy of Business Center so you can play with this data. So now we wait. Okay, so we are downloading the scan data right now. So it should be bringing this in, and I've got it to register last. So let's see if it registers. Remember, it's registering to different planes. So it could be registering to the house, it could be registering to that fence. Any other planes that it sees, it's going to try to register to them. Bringing the points in, it's capturing images. You can see the scan where it came in at. It says it's auto registering. You'll see the scan move together once it registers. Auto register complete. There we go. So now we can see we have the face of the building. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this to finish capturing. There it goes, capturing images. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the door and I'm going to put it in a threshold. So let's open this door up. Set that down so I don't break it. Let's grab this puppy. Okay, so what I want to do is I really want to set this about a foot or two outside of the threshold. And naturally I've set my tablet down right away, right? Okay, so there we go. Now then, I should be able to pick up this plane and I should be able to go inside. And this thing auto levels itself, but there's no reason for it to look cockeyed, huh? There we go. Not perfect, but it's better. Okay, so let's start scan. So there again, it's gonna start initializing, and then it's going to scan, and we're gonna repeat the process again, and we're gonna end up with images, scan and images from the inside, and we're gonna see if it registers. Scan 5 is in there, looks like it's registered. We are now inside the door. Looks like everything's registered fine, got no errors. So now I'm gonna pick it up and set it up inside the door, and we're gonna start scanning from there. Okay, so we're inside the room. I came up, I was a foot outside, pretty much foot, maybe 2 foot, outside the threshold. About the same here, foot or 2 inside the threshold. We're gonna see if this thing registers. Now then you can see, if I needed to register to another scan, I could. So let's say I go back outside and I want to register to number 4. When I go back outside, I'm going to say instead of last, I'm going to say register to number 4. So for right now, let's hit scan. Let's let this thing do its thing, and then we'll come back and we can maybe go outside and do another scan. I'll show you how that ties together. So I can do a cutting plane in here, and I can look at some different things. So if I wanted to go, let's say if I want to go, top view is not going to do much for us. Let's do a side view. So if we do a side view, we're looking at, and by the way, this thing's scanning, and we're doing this while it's scanning. So let's see if I can. If I wanted to do a cutting plane, and I want to be able to look at my scan that way, you can see I can do a cutting plane. And then of course I can do some measurements and stuff like that. So I can raise it back up, or if I want to lower it back down a little bit. Whoops, too far. So anyways, you can see you can use that to look at some stuff, just to make sure, to verify you've got the data that you want, right? So, or maybe I'm curious as to just how big that tree is out there, right? So lots of different options here. So now we've scanned. It says it's downloading the data, so let's see what happens here. So 6 should be just inside the door. Downloading scans, it's taking pictures. Auto registration complete. There's number 6, as you can see. Number 6 got us inside the room. So now then, number 6 registered, there we are, we're inside the room. There's the door, right there. So the French door's over here. One of the things I might mention is all the points don't come over this is like a preview, okay? So you're actually collecting more points than what's showing up on this tablet. I might want to bring that to your attention, because if you look at this tablet and say, wow, Robert, that's not a real dense scan. Actually, it's very dense. It just kind of down samples it for you to preview so that you can manipulate it better. But I'm pretty impressed with it. I think it's pretty cool. Word to the wise, I would try to let it auto register. There's a manual registration you can do here where you go and you break your registration. You can do that. There's all your registration. You know, if you want to go in and change it, you can. There's the different scans. So you can always break the scan to a manual registration if it doesn't register. It's been my experience that the best thing you can do is, if it doesn't register, back up and put a scan in between and let it auto register that. It just seems like it works better. So let's pack everything up. Let's go back outside, and we're going to set up probably right there on the corner of the building, and we'll get one scan down the side. Then I'll export the data out, show you what that is. Then I have got to get this to FedEx and get it to my buddy down in Florida, the Trimble guy, and it's got to be there Monday, so we gotta hurry up and get this done. Okay guys, so I scanned the inside and everything registered just fine. As you can see, I'm a foot inside, foot outside, something like that, of the threshold, and it automatically registered. Now then, this is what I want to show you. So we had a scan number 5 that was in the door. We had a scan over there, it was number 4, that was a scan I did with the door closed, right? So here's what I want to do. Let me close that door real quick. So I really want to, one of the things you don't want to do when you're doing planes is basically have things move on you, because when things move, the software gets a little confused. Okay, so we got the door closed, so it looks exactly the same. So now then, what I want to do is I want to scan and I want to register to number 4. So 4 is the one that was out here in the middle of the yard that did the front of the building. We're going to try to register to it. So I'm going to say start scan. Same thing, it's going to initialize and it's going to scan, and hopefully we're going to register to this. After that, I'm going to export the data and show you guys the how it colorizes it when it exports it, and then we will take it to Business Center. Actually, I'll probably take this to FedEx, then I'll come back and we'll do Business Center. How's that? Let me get out of the way. Okay, so we're scanning about a quarter of the way through. There it goes. Number 7 registered to 4. Looks good. Okay, so if I want to now, I could just keep on going, right? I could either go inside, I could say finish my scan on the inside. I can say register to number 6 if I want to go back inside. If I want to keep on going down the outside, I just say register to 7. So I might get a couple more scans for you guys just so you got some data to play with, but that ought to give you a pretty good idea of how this thing works, right? So let me pick up a couple more scans real quick, and then we will we'll export the data to the desktop and save it, and I can get this thing back to FedEx, and I can show you guys, you know, how it works when we get it back into the office, right? Okay, so. Okay guys, so I'm kind of pressed for time here. I've got till, I got about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get this to FedEx on Phoenix Avenue in Fort Smith to get it mailed back to Trimble so they can have it Monday because they got stuff they got going on. I'm telling you, these things are hard to get a hold of right now. Just want to let you know, did a couple scans. You can see that how they registered. So if I look at like 14 to, it actually registered from 14 to 13. If I break that, I can say I want to register from scan number 6 to scan number 14. So I can say register. Now it registered just fine. I just want to show you guys how to do this, right? There was plenty of data in there with the 4-minute scans. And the reason I'm showing you this is if you choose last instead of, you know, something else, you know, if you chose something that, that you didn't expect, you know, you chose last. What I'm trying to say is you chose last and it wasn't what you wanted. You wanted to choose something else. So what I've done now is I've gone back to 6. I've tied back to 6 with both of these. You can see how that works. So right now I want to show you guys, let's go to finalize and export. I'm going to refine project. What that's going to do is try to refine my, my scan. Going to try to refine the registration. What it's going to do is going to try to do some cross tie stuff to pick it up, and then colorize point clouds. Now you don't have to colorize point clouds right now. You can colorize point clouds coming into Business Center. So just for the sake of time, I think I'm just going to tell it not to do it right now. We're going to look, and I want to take it to desktop. Robert's house is fine. Save. I want to do it in US survey feet, and I'm going to say finalize. So now it's going to export the data to the desktop, and I'll copy it. So right now I've got to get this thing back to the house, get it in its box, get it to FedEx. So I'll copy this over on a jump drive, and then we'll take a look at it this afternoon in Business Center, okay? So guys, I'll see you in a little bit. Woo, this has been a busy day. Okay, so we made it back to FedEx with the scanner. It's on its way. Thank you, Frank, for letting me borrow that. You should have that scanner back by Monday. So, according to FedEx. Anyways, this video turned out to be about 55 minutes long. So, I cut it down to about 30 minutes. You're welcome. But there's going to be a part 2. There's no way I can stick the stuff from TBC into this video. It's just way too long. And I didn't want to take out very much of the video because there's a lot of stuff in there. I just want you to see how the X7 in perspective work. I think that's pretty important. So part 2 will be where we geo-reference the our point cloud in the Business Center after we bring it in. Side note, when I exported that data, what you guys saw on camera was I exported it actually as an LAS file. after I got in the truck, I noticed it was an LAS file, so I turned around and exported it as a TDX file. So the TDX file is the one that will come in and will be colorized and everything. And that's the one we're going to bring into Business Center. So if you take it as an LAS file, you might want to colorize it first, just saying. So anyways, guys, appreciate you. Love you bunches. Man, I'm getting a lot of good feedback from you guys on these videos and stuff. So I've got a couple other ideas I'm working on. These are challenging, these tutorials, putting them together. It's a whole lot of work involved in doing this. So anyways, like and subscribe. Like I said, don't forget to hit the notification button or bell down at the bottom so you know when I post another video. As always, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.